welcome to the deep dive. You send us sources you're curious about, and, well, we jump in together.
We try to pull out the really crucial stuff, yeah.
Exactly. The insights that stick, without you having to wade through everything.
Makes sense.
So this time, we're looking at a YouTube video transcript. It's from the AIE Dupama Caffeine channel.
Okay.
And it covers the first part of a summary for Dopamine Nation. WACA.
Right, Dopamine Nation, I've heard of that one.
Our mission today is really just to explore the main ideas in there. This whole concept that addiction, it isn't just substances. It's like woven into our everyday behaviors. And it's all driven by dopamine.
It's interesting that the source is a video transcript, isn't it? Shows how we get information now.
Totally.
So this video, it's Ness Arla-Kelly discussing Dr. Anna Lembke's book.
Right, and she's a psychiatrist. That seems important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like Matthew Walker, who we've talked about, she studies how our mental state affects our brains. And her insights on addiction, they come from, years working directly with people who are really struggling.
Okay, so the video, it kicks off with this story about Denzel Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how he doesn't really use social media, doesn't even use a smartphone. He thinks they're addictive.
Wow, okay. That makes you stop and think.
Right. And then the video host just drops this bomb. All of you are addicts, without exception.
Wow.
And challenges everyone watching to just turn off their phones for a week.
A whole week. That's tough.
It really makes you question things, doesn't it? Like, are we hooked on the phone, or is it something else underneath?
That's a great way to start because it forces you to broaden your definition of addiction right away. We usually think of, drugs or alcohol, but this pushes us. Is our phone use or maybe other things we do all the time just a symptom?
A symptom of something deeper.
Yeah. And the transcript, drawing on Lembke, it stresses that any activity, good or bad, can become an addiction if it starts messing up your life.
That feeling of compulsion.
Exactly. That sense that you have to do it even when part of you knows it's not good for you.
So this brings us to the first case study in the book. This guy, Jacob.
Okay.
He's like in his 60s Silicon Valley type.
Yes.
Seems fine on the surface.
Right. No obvious issues.
But when he goes to see Dr. Lembke, he's kind of nervous. Says he hopes she was a man because his problem is sensitive. Yeah. Turns out he's addicted to sex. The transcript mentions it gets pretty intense, showing how bad it was. But the detail that really stood out, Jacob actually designed a device, something specifically for his addiction.
Wow. A device. What does that even tell you? It's like hyper-focused for it.
Yeah.
Channeling all this energy and ingenuity into the addiction itself. It just underlines how powerful and all-consuming these things can be.
It's an extreme example for sure.
But Lembke uses it to point to something more universal, I think. Maybe we don't build physical devices, but we have mental ones.
Mental devices, like justifications, routine.
Exactly. All the ways we enable our own attachments. It shows addiction isn't just for those people. It can affect anyone.
Yeah, even successful people.
Yeah.
Which leads perfectly into Lembke's own story.
Oh, right. This was surprising.
Her addiction to romance novels.
Yeah. It's so disarming, isn't it?
Totally. She talks about being completely lost in them, neglecting family, work. She almost lost her job.
Wow.
Preferring the fiction to her actual life. And she read them on her e-reader, like between patients.
Between patients. That detail is something else.
It really shows how something seemingly harmless, like reading, can spiral out of control.
Exactly. And her sharing that, her vulnerability, it's powerful. It gets rid of that idea that addiction is just a moral failing or weakness.
Right. Here's this accomplished doctor.
Feeling that same pull towards something most people think is fine. It highlights that the activity isn't always the main issue. It's the compulsion, the negative impact.
The excess.
Yeah, the transcript mentions that. Excess is bad, even of good things. Moderation is key.
Okay, so then the video pivots.
Yeah.
It gets into the why.
The underlying mechanism.
Yeah. The host says Jacob's real problem wasn't just the habit itself, but a deeper addiction driving it. And Lembke thinks most of us today have this underlying issue.
Interesting. So what is it?
Well, with Jacob, his problems kind of faded when he got married young.
Okay.
But they came roaring back when he moved to Germany, and suddenly pornography was easily accessible. And then the internet hit in '95.
Ah, accessibility. That makes sense. It links to habit formation, right?
Yeah.
Cue, routine, reward.
Exactly. Like we read in Power of Habit or Atomic Habits.
So the internet just makes the routine part incredibly easy, frictionless.
Yeah. The transcript uses this great analogy about getting fish.
Oh.
You used to have to catch it, right?
Huh?
Effort involved. Now you just tap an app.
Right. Instant gratification.
And it's the same for everything.
Yeah.
Junk food delivered,
Ew.
vaping, odorless, flavored, caffeine everywhere, streaming movies, sports 24/7, online shopping.
It's constant temptation, constant easy access.
And it all fuels the core problem. Addiction to dopamine. The master hormone? Yeah. Controlling mood, motivation, energy. The transcript explains this key thing. Our bodies try to balance things out.
Okay.
So with repeated dopamine hits, the body reduces the number of dopamine receptors. It downregulates.
Meaning you need more stimulation next time.
Exactly. To get the same feeling. They've used the apple versus chocolate analogy.
Ah, right. The simple pleasure of an apple isn't enough anymore. You need the bigger hit from chocolate.
Mm-hmm. And Lemke's big statement, we are the dopamine nation, just constantly chasing that pleasure hit.
And that constant chase, it changes our baseline, doesn't it? It makes normal life feel kind of dull.
Yeah, the transcript lists examples. Just lying down and thinking, reading a book, drawing, eating a home-cooked meal, having a real conversation.
Those things become boring compared to the high dopamine stuff.
There's this funny anecdote about sorting spoiled peppers. Like, that used to be a normal task, maybe even mindful. Now it sounds like torture.
Because our brains are wired for the quick hits now.
This constant dopamine seeking, it disrupts things. Yeah. Even for people who seem balanced. It makes that advice about prioritizing real life over just consuming content seem really important.
Yeah. And the transcript mentions nostalgia for simpler times, like the sound of a doorbell being exciting.
Huh, yeah. A simple dopamine hit? Now, even a tiny interruption when you're scrolling or watching something feels annoying.
Unwelcome. Yeah. It puts Denzel Washington's point about turning off the phone in perspective, doesn't it?
Definitely. So this all leads to 3 key points, 3 acknowledgments the transcript highlights.
Okay, what are they?
First, we're all addicts, basically,
Right.
on some level.
Yeah, on a spectrum.
Second, we're addicted to pleasure. That's the main drive.
The pursuit of dopamine.
And third, addiction isn't just about the bad stuff. It's way broader.
Those feel like the core takeaways from Lemke. Yeah, how deep this dopamine chase runs in modern life.
And the transcript circles back to Jacob briefly. Sadly, his second marriage ended too, because of the addiction.
Still struggling.
Yeah, and he only sought help when he was 60. Shows how hard it is to break free.
Mm-hmm.
And Lemke's conclusion about him is that, like many of us, his root issue is an addiction to pleasure itself.
Which connects to what the speaker in the video says about wanting to feel bored.
Yeah, wanting boredom is a sign of a healthy dopamine level.
Because if you're okay with boredom, you can enjoy simple things again. Be present.
Right, instead of constantly needing that next hit.
In the transcript hints at the downsides of always having high dopamine. Loss of passion, depression, maybe even links to ADHD, bipolar. Though they tease a future dive into Daniel Amen's work for that.
Okay, interesting. So the main point seems to be, whatever compulsive behavior we're stuck in, good or bad on the surface.
It's likely driven by this underlying addiction to pleasure, to dopamine.
Yeah. And then, as a little teaser for next time,
Oh.
they introduce the flip side.
Yeah.
Addiction as a way to avoid pain.
Pleasure-seeking versus pain avoidance. 2 sides of the same coin, maybe.
Feels like we just scratched the surface here.
Absolutely. This look into Dopamine Nation via Lemke and the video summary, it gives you a really useful lens to look at your own life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Leaves you with a big question, doesn't it? In a world offering easy dopamine everywhere, how do you find balance? How do you find satisfaction in regular life?
That's definitely something to think about. If you found this deep dive into Dopamine Nation useful, maybe share it with someone who'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
And join us next time when we explore that other side addiction as an escape from pain. Thanks for diving in with us.
Thank you.